This is Henri from God Dethroned, and you're listening to Tampa Morgue.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, episode number 57. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Ed Webb. What is up, Mr. Webb?
Mr. Anderson, what is up, brother?
Just getting settled in the studio, man. Getting ready for our guest. We got Henri from God Dethroned coming on tonight. We actually opened up the show with God Dethroned, Rat Kingdom, off the new album that's coming out September 6, 2024 on Reigning Phoenix Music called Judas Paradox. We'll talk to Henri in a little bit, probably about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll have him on. And Ed, you have some history with Henri.
I do. I did a tour with him in 2000 with Cannibal Corpse and Hate Eternal.
Nice.
So
cool.
Yeah, it was 6 weeks. 6 weeks, long time on the road.
6 weeks. And you just, speaking of the road, you just got back from playing a festival, which we talked about on the last episode over in Texas. How did that go?
Went good. It was actually a very smooth trip. Everything was probably one of the most accommodating trips I've been on, to be honest with you. I mean, the hotel was fucking awesome. I've never had a hotel that had a soda machine, you know, like in a Circle K available all day. Like you can get free soda.
Oh, really?
and coffee, and from 5:30 to 7:30 they gave you nachos and free beer. Like you get 3 free beers. I've never seen anything like that. Free popcorn. It was fucking. It was different, man. I was like, plus the crew from the festival were very accommodating.
Now, did you guys stay at the same hotel
We all did.
with Nasty Savage, or all the bands were in the same hotel?
I think, from what I understand, I know Nasty Savage was there because I was hanging out with them, and then I think Whiplash was there too. I saw the guys run, the drummer and the bass player running around. I didn't see Tony too much. I saw him at the show, of course, and talked to him, but I didn't see him at the hotel. I saw the other 2 guys. But
And you guys flew together, right? You and Nasty Savage flew out from
we
Tampa?
did. We flew in and out with them. So it was really cool.
It's like a reunion for you too. I saw the photo that they put up on Instagram. It was like a contorted reunion. You had it was like Orman, Coker, and Pete, right? Because you guys.
Yep.
So the last record you did with them was The Edge of Darkness, right? In 2005.
Yes.
And that was Sykes, Heftel, Coker, and that was you. It was you 4, right? Did that record?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The last lineup that I jammed with was the lineup in that picture because Dave was going to replace, I guess, Damien. Damien had left a while back, so we were kind of trying to figure out what to do. And Dave came in, and then things kind of fell apart. It wasn't Coker either at the end. It was this other guy, D'Angelo. So
and were you and when Contorted was formed, right? That was basically was that from Brutality splitting pretty
Correct.
much in 97?
Correct. Yeah. Basically, Jeff. We, in a long story short, Scott was kind of. We had some new stuff, and he was having some issues singing it. And nothing against Scott. It's just he's used to the Brutality style, but me and Pete were writing, and Jim were writing a little different. And the lyrics were a little different. They didn't flow like a Brutality tune. So we didn't feel, I don't know, it was just a weird thing. We were talking, and everybody had agreed maybe we could do it as a 4-piece. And unfortunately, Jeff backed out at the last minute, and everything kind of went to shit. So me, Jim, and Pete decided we're going to continue on with a new band. We created Contorted, and we had various people in and out of the band in the beginning. In the beginning, I was actually playing guitar and singing because I was playing guitar in Brutality. So I just continued playing guitar. But you know me, I don't like to I can do it, but I'm not a fan of it as much as playing the bass. I feel more comfortable playing the bass, but I can play guitar, obviously. But so we did that. I mean, we had some cool people that jammed with us, man, over the years. We had, I forgot one of them that I was reminded this weekend. We had Jamie Prim that was in Burning Inside fill in on bass
I know that.
for a show. We had obviously Brian Hipp, which to me right now, to think in what world Brian Hipp's playing bass in a band and I'm playing guitar, that's absolutely ridiculous. But he was with us for the first show we ever played at that Deicide benefit show we've talked about before. So yeah, we even had at one point Robin came in and tried out for the band way back in the day. So we've had a lot of people that we know, play or been involved with the band. But the last
Robin
iteration
was just out with Deicide and them. She just got back from that tour.
Yep. So everybody's kind of in their own world now, which is crazy. But yeah, when we all kind of met up, it was just funny because everybody thought there was animosity between me and them, and obviously there's not, because it was all created over people talking, because that's what people like to do, talk. And you know me, I don't have animosity. There's a few people that I have animosity towards, that I will always have animosity towards, and I will never ever change my stance on those people. But for the most part, I get along with everybody.
Except the dude who left the lug nuts off your tires at the shop.
Yeah, that guy can suck my dick. Yeah, I hope you listen, dude. But yeah, no, it was funny because I got a lot of messages after that picture went up, like, whoa, like, really, dude? And I'm like, slow down. It was just a picture,
The last thing I had from you guys is the Darkness CD, because that was Tony Cole did the artwork for that, right? He did Gorgasm, Malignancy, and stuff like that. But that was the last thing you actually recorded with them was that record then.
That's correct. Yep. We had a whole another thing. We had a bunch of tunes written. We just never did nothing with them. I don't know if they used them on the, albums after or whatever. But yeah, no. I mean, and actually, I went back and listened to it. I played it for like Mark and the guys this weekend because most people haven't heard it, and I forgot how good, honestly, how good the songs were on that record. And
It's
it's
crazy.
weird.
2005. If you really think about like how long ago that was, it
19
doesn't
years.
seem that long when you gave it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, 19 years ago. And then we did, if you think about it, Contorted was formed in 97, beginning of 98, if depending on how it falls. So, and then out of the ashes of Contorted came Destined to Ruin with this pretty much the same lineup who played in Contorted minus Jim and Pete. So, because, Dave played in Contorted at one point. Damien played in Contorted. Angelo played in Contorted for that little bit of time. So yeah, it's just weird how bands form out of things like that. But yeah, no,
especially
it
in
was
Florida.
cool.
If you look at the family tree of Florida bands, there's always like, as we know, being in bands in Florida for so long, there's always that this guy played with this band. Like for even if it's like a couple weeks, this guy, it's very incestuous, I guess you would say.
Well, I've seen it to where somebody did a show to help out, and the band gets big, and they use that as I was in that band. Even though
I think that's common. I bet you that happens all the time. I mean,
maybe I don't know. I've never had the. Well, if you remember correctly, I was never even in Brutality, according to three of the schleps that are in the band. So yeah, they wipe me, which is absolutely funny as shit. Considering I have probably close to 20 pictures showing me standing next to Jeff and Scott on stage. So what band would that have been? You know what I mean? So it's a stupidity like that I just can't roll with that.
It's the band. It's always, as we know, man. It's always. I mean, look at bands and you look at the drama inside of them, or it's always something, And now you're in a better place, man. I'm glad you guys had a good show in Texas. I saw. I was going to mention to you, Saint Vitus closed down in Brooklyn. They shut down. I guess they shut down maybe in February. Actually, I guess the New York Department of Buildings shut them down. I don't think they had a license to sell food and drink, or there was some kind of like they weren't authorized to do like the whole food drink thing there. They had no maximum capacity signs I read and stuff. But that place was around since 2011. It was at 1120 Manhattan Ave. That was, I mean, it's a shame when you see venues like that closing.
And I think there was an ulterior motive to that. They want these buildings now. They
force you out.
They do. They're forcing people out, and they're making more apartments. I mean, here in Florida, I can't tell you. Wait till you come back and drive down some of these roads, and you see shit that was just empty land and what's there now. I mean, there used to be a place called Malibu over near the Mug. It was a park that had the cars you could drive around the track and baseball, batting cages and putt golf and all that shit. Completely gone. It was here since I moved here. It'd been there. It was called Malibu, and then they changed the name to Grand Prix. We had 3 or 4 birthday parties there over the years. Now it's just a bunch of fucking apartments because we don't have enough people in Florida. The roads here are just absolutely horrendous because northern people cannot drive. Sorry if that offends you, fuck off, because you can't. You don't know how to drive. You don't know how to
from up north. We're originally from there.
True, but there's laws here that, like, when you're merging onto an interstate, if the lane is free, you have to move over for the car merging onto the interstate, and nobody ever does it. And always fucking they try to do the death battle to see who's going to fit in, and it's like I just wish I had like the Spy Hunter, the old video game where I could do oil slicks and smoke screens and fucking have people spin off the road because they don't know how to drive. They really don't know how to drive, and I hate driving in this town.
I haven't driven in 2 years there, and I'll be back in like 2 months. I'll be back, and I tell you, here in Lithuania, they don't drive very well either. There's a lot of it's a lot of the same aggressive bullshit, But I keep on hearing that. Like everyone tells me, they're like, "Dude, wait till you're back in Tampa. Like, wait till you see."
Idea. Well, I'll tell you this: when we tour around a lot, we play a lot of cities like Baltimore, and you see that northern style driving where people are bumper to bumper and cutting in and out of each other, and you're like, dude, San Antonio is the most courteous place I've been to. Everybody in the hotel, not one person wasn't smiling and happy. And everywhere we went, we even went to a Walmart the hotel will give you a free shuttle within a mile of the hotel, anywhere, restaurants, whatever you want. So me and Mark went to the Walmart to get some shit, and walking around Walmart, you know what Walmart's like here, dude. Everybody's happy. Oh, let me stop in their carriage. Hey, come on by. I'm like, what is this nonsense? This is, this is the kind of peace that I look for, because I'm, Angry Ed doesn't want to be angry. He likes to be
Yeah.
that guy. I want to be the happy guy.
Tampa, St. Pete Walmarts are a little different.
Well, you know what? My wife has the Walmart Plus where they deliver it. And I literally had to get some shit for my daughter's new car we got her. And I'm like, you know what? They can bring it. Between 3 and 5, I said, you know what? I'll wait the extra time so I don't have to walk into that store and deal with, because it's a cesspool, man. It's literally a cesspool of humanity. And I hate it. I hate every inch of it. And it was just such a culture shock to see how San Antonio was such a different breed of life, man. I was very shocked, to be honest
with you.
You said
it was hot as hell, though, huh? On stage,
oh,
it was
dude,
brutal.
100, it was 108 degrees the day we got there. Mark, like the New Yorker knucklehead that he is, he goes out there and gets in the fucking water and jumps out, and he's got, he's not exactly a tan guy living in New York, and he's laying out there on the chairs, letting that sun, the way I could describe it is, it was like walking out. When you walked out of the hotel, it was like walking into a furnace. I mean, Florida heat, you walk out, you get to your car, you're like, wow, it's kind of fucking hot out here. You got to make that little bit of a trip down the stairs, and
you're sweating by the time you get in the car.
Yeah, but you're like, man, it's fucking hot. Dude, as soon as you walk out, it's like walking into a furnace, man. That heat smashes you like nothing I've ever felt, and it doesn't stop. It's like,
here in Lithuania, it's 76 Fahrenheit. I'll go by Fahrenheit for anybody who's not, who's in Florida, whoever's listens out in the States. But it also means for us that we know what's coming.
Yeah,
we know that the frozen.
You got the Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. Winter is coming.
Death winter is on the way.
Yeah.
What were some of the tunes you guys played in your set?
It's pretty much the same set, man. We do everything from every album. Definitive, Final, the two from Passage. We do Cosmic, Kingdom, all of them. Bunch of stuff from In Dark Purity. We play Rise to Power. We do every album. We try to. We had a little bit of an issue with Lee's triggers, so it went over our set time, of course, because that's luck. That's how it is when you do a throw and go, because they had 2 stages. So, but Lee has a sampler, a trigger. He has all kinds of shit he has to hook up, and these guys didn't know what they were doing, really, because most people don't have that stuff. And they had no guitar amps.
Oh.
No guitar amps. The guy's like, well, I got this one here, and it'll power both of those, and then we can separate your preamps. And I'm like, dude, in what world would that even fucking work with one power amp? So luckily they found like some old PV head and had to run 3 distortion pedals to make it get a guitar tone. And it wound up sounding better than I expected, considering the train wreck we were in. But
played the same night as you guys.
Nasty Savage and Whiplash. Whiplash played before, and they were killer. They were fucking great, man. And Savage played after. And dude, Ronnie's going to be 63 years old in December. And this dude's throwing TVs in the air and smashing them off his face. Still, the guy is unbelievable. And man, what a fucking icon that dude really is.
I look forward to hear their new record. And we'll go on. Eventually, we'll talk about the new Nasty Savage record when it gets closer. We got some surprises going the way with that. And Ed, so at the end of the show, after we talk to Henri, we'll mention if we'll hang out for maybe like 10 minutes after the show and talk about some of the stuff that's coming up. But anything else you want to say before we get Henri all set up?
Not really. Just we got what's his name coming up.
We got Tomas from Wolfheart coming on from Finland.
Yep.
Next week we'll have that, and then Ed goes under the knife. So we got, we'll be talking about that too. Where we got a bunch of shit going on. And yeah,
dude, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if anybody's ever said they've been looking forward to it, dude, but This has
surgery,
been,
but you'll
this has
feel
been,
so much better afterwards.
yeah,
Man.
that's the problem. I just, man, walking through the airport and the last 2 weeks have just been, you know, if I would have got denied, you know, when I was getting cleared, I don't know what I would have done, because it was even the, you know, figure we played almost an hour, and trying to figure out your stance when your hip just wants to fucking buckle.
Cave in, yeah.
Not to mention the heat, you know, because that stage was hot as. I mean, dude,
How was the crowd?
It was killer crowd, man. I'll give you a for instance of how hot it was, and you'll understand that. You know, people won't, but you will. Add about 10 more degrees to when we played with Exodus.
Oh yeah, that was fucking hot. You can even see, if you ever watch that old footage from that show when we played that, you could just see like we were
drenched.
Got out of the pool.
Yep.
And it was packed too. So at the Brass Mug, you know, you can't even breathe in that place. It was so packed that night.
Well, they open. So this place, they have these side garage doors. They open to get more room. So they opened them for the headlining bands, for like Whiplash or whatever. They opened them so more crowd can. I mean, you could have probably fit another 60 to 80 people just in that area outside where it was out. So you open that door, and now you're letting in that treacherous heat. Because even at night, that heat, that you don't need the sun. It's just a fucking oven consistently.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, again, take away the heat. It was San Antonio's really fucking nice, man. Like Mark's, we were looking at houses, and like a fucking 4-bedroom house is $230,000, and I'm like, wow. Yeah, maybe I'll move to San Antonio.
These days, that's a steal.
It is.
But I'm glad you guys had a good show, and
yep.
And next Monstrosity show is in California, right?
Correct. I think it's October 12th, and Sacrifice, Dismember. God, I'm trying to remember who all was on that. I'll have all that information as it gets closer.
Yeah, we'll plug it, and so let's get Henri set up, and we're gonna play from God Dethroned. We're gonna play Bloody Blasphemy from Bloody Blasphemies from '99 off Metal Blade. That record came out, and that was actually the tour I think you did with them. I think they were.
It was. Off Bloody Blasphemy. They were torn off of that. Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we're gonna play that, and then we're gonna get Henri all set up, and we'll be back with Henri from God Dethroned right after this track from God Dethroned. This is Bloody Blasphemy off the 1999 record Bloody Blasphemy. See you in a minute. We're back on the Tampa Morgue with Henri right after this. That was God Dethroned with Bloody Blasphemy off the Bloody Blasphemy album from 1999. And we are joined from Henri from God Dethroned. How you doing, Henri?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming on, man. And I know you and Ed have some history, which we'll get into during the interview too.
Yeah.
We want to basically how we always do this show, Henri, is we start out talking about, we start from the beginning. And you were born in Byron?
Yeah, that's correct. I still live in that area.
It's like a lot of farmlands over there and stuff, right?
Yeah, I live in the north. There's not a lot going on here. It's mainly farmland and small towns. And also one of the biggest cities from our country. But, our biggest cities are still very small compared to the U.S. cities. So, yeah, it's a quiet part of the country. But I like it here. I live in the woods, and I like I like nature, and I like to hear the birds whistle in the morning.
And growing up, not even music wise, but what kind of memories do you have of being a kid growing up there?
Oh, I hated the place, and I guess I still do. It's a terrible place to live, but it's. I thought of leaving for so many years, and I never did. For some kind of reason. I mean, life here is not so bad, but it's just a terrible place. But I don't live in that city anymore. I live outside, and I live in the woods, like I said. And it's a nice place to live. And to move somewhere else is so expensive nowadays. Nobody can afford it, and I can't afford it. So I guess I'm staying here for I don't know how long. But I hated the place when I grew up. A lot of terrible people. I guess that's why I called my band God Dethroned. That's why I started touring.
Now, did you come from a musical family?
Not at all. Not at all. No, my parents didn't play an instrument. My sister didn't. I was the first and only one.
Was it did you come from a religious household at all?
No, not at all. Also not. No. No, people expect that from me. Usually people grow up in a religious family, and then they start to be rebellious against it. But no, I had no such thing. I just I came from a pretty normal family, I guess. But I just always found religion something strange, something. If you look at how many innocent people were killed in the name of God or in the name of Christ, I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's why I started a band called God Dethroned.
And do you remember the first, I know, so you saw a Wasted Years video, right? Was it 86 when you were 13 years old? But do you remember when you the first music that really caught your attention as a kid? Whether it be I don't know, the Beatles or whatever, the first band that you remember hooking on to, basically?
Yeah, I think, first of all, Wasted Years, wasn't it 84? Because I was 13, and that must have been 84 then.
That's what, Somewhere in Time, Ed, I think, off that record?
Or was it 86? I don't remember.
Something like that. Could be 1 or 2 years off of that.
Yeah, but something like that. But, I listened to bands like Golden Earring and Status Quo when I was younger. It was the first bands that I got in contact with, and I still like those bands, actually. I guess the things you learn to love when you're young are the bands that stay with you for the rest of your life, I suppose. But pretty soon after that, I started listening to Metallica and Slayer and Iron Maiden and bands like that.
Do you remember when you first picked up a guitar, or first actually got into a guitar?
I was 15 when I got my first guitar, and I was I think 17 when I joined my first band. So I played guitar for 2 years before I started playing in a band.
Are you self-taught?
I had guitar lessons for, I think, 4 months, and then the rest I did myself. And it went very slowly until I started playing in a band, and then it went really quick.
And your first band, you said 17, that was 88, 89? What was the name of your first band?
It was called Dysentery.
Dysentery, okay. And Dysentery, you did a demo, right, in 90 with them.
I think 88 or something. I'm not Yeah, something like that.
And that's when you first started. So I've seen this name on a lot of your material that you've done through the years. Can you explain what Frankie's Recording Kitchen was? Because I know Asphyx work was played there and stuff, like recorded there and stuff too. Can you explain what that actually is?
Yeah, it was one of the studios in the Netherlands. It still exists actually. It was one of the few studios in the Netherlands that recorded death metal and thrash metal and things like that. There weren't that many places where you could go to have something heavy recorded. So he was one of the, I guess, 3, 4, maybe 5 studios that were around where you could go and have your music recorded. And yeah, we became friends. That guy and me, and we're still friends today. He's now, I think, like 67 or something, but he's still recording bands. Yeah, and I went there for the first time when I was in dysentery, and I guess it must have been, so when I was 17, it was, yeah, probably 88 or something.
And when did you guys play? Like your first show personally, was it with Dysentery? And like, were you guys like like an active live band, really?
We played a couple of shows. The band didn't exist very long, I think less than a year. And we did play some live shows with bands like Mandator. It sounds really strange, I know, but it's called Mandator or something. That's a really silly name. But one of the guitar players of that band later joined a band called Altar, a Dutch death metal band. And we played a show with Thanatos, also a Dutch death thrash band and stuff like that. So that's really a long time ago, man.
And Alter, they did a lot of stuff at Frankie's Recording Kitchen too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they basically recorded everything there.
Okay. And, so obviously the band, Dysentery breaks up. And 1990, you begin the formation of God Dethroned. How did you hook up with Remco? And I don't want to butcher anybody's name. I'm sorry, Ard.
Yeah, it's
your first numbers.
Yeah, it's like a funny way of saying Adrian.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we started the band in 1990. I think early 1990, and we recorded the demo the same year, or no, I think 1 year later.
91, right? Christ Hunt.
Yeah, the Christ Hunt demo in 91. And then we got the record deal with Shark Records and did the Christ Hunt album in 92.
Yeah. So who did the logo for you guys? Because I know you came up with the name God Dethroned yourself, right? That was your idea?
Yeah. And also the first logo that was drawn on the demo, I also did myself.
Okay.
And then somebody else did a better job after that.
And when was the first official God Dethroned show?
I think that was also 91. And yeah, so totally inexperienced. We had a drummer who tried to play blast beats, but couldn't really do it. So it must have been quite funny to see that.
What were you guys like? Was there a lot of venues toward? Like, what was the situation with venues when you were a kid growing up there? Was there like places for bands to play there? Because a lot of people may not realize when you first started doing this, death metal really wasn't a thing yet. It was kind of just becoming a thing.
Yeah.
So what was it like with the venues there and the scene in general?
Oh, there were some really good venues. There's a city called Groningen, not far from here. It's the biggest city in the north. They had 2 clubs that still exist. One is called the Vera Club, and the other one is called Simplon. And those clubs, they had a lot of extreme metal and hardcore bands playing. So I saw Nuclear Assault. I saw them there. I saw, let me think. But I saw a lot of bands. I saw the first European tours of Paradise Lost, Morbid Angel, Napalm Death. All those bands went to those clubs, and it was awesome.
And you were a big fan of like Paradise Lost, right? And like Blessed Are the Sick from Morbid Angel. I think I had read, and Left Hand Path and stuff like that. That was big. You were really into that.
Yeah. I went to see all those bands. I loved all those albums, and so they laid the foundation for me to play the same type of music. I saw the first tour of Entombed. I saw so many first tours of all those bands. It was really special. I mean, it was a new scene, like death metal was coming up, it was getting big really, really fast, you know, and it was really beautiful to see all those bands come by. And a lot of people are still jealous, you know, when I talk about that, about all the bands that I saw when they came around for the first time. It was really beautiful.
Nice. And in '92, Shark Records, you guys released a split cassette with Headhunter out of Germany, right? And Shark Records, they had like Antidote on them and like I think Living Death and stuff like that. But how did you get a relationship? Like, how did God Dethroned basically form a relationship with that label?
I think the guy from Frankie's Recording Kitchen, he had done a recording for that label. And I think he just sent a couple of demos to the label, and they replied with, "Okay, we want to sign God Dethroned." And that's how we got a deal with them. But it wasn't a very good relationship at all. It was terrible, actually.
Didn't you guys piss them off? 'Cause I know '92, you guys put out the Christ Hunt on Shark Records. And you guys had the cover with dissected rat on it, which I think was like I had read it was kind of like an example of what you felt religion was, right? Some kind of like reflection of religion. That right?
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
And they were upset about that?
Oh, yeah, very. I remember I saw him at a festival and not far from here, and I showed him the pictures that I took of the rats, and I said, well, this is going to be the album cover. He was completely disgusted by it. And he refused, of course. He didn't say it to my face. He was like, ugh, you idiot, you know, something like that. And then he just walked away. And then all of a sudden, when the album was released, he came up with some kind of weird-looking album cover, and that was it.
Is that the black and white one?
Yeah. Well, the logo is not even on the front.
Yeah. How did Oscar and the bassist Marco become part of God Dethroned?
Well, I knew Marco. He was the drummer of Altar,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew him from the scene over there in the city where he lived, and so he could also play bass guitar, and that's what he did for us. And Oscar was somebody I knew from the scene when I was younger, and saw him play with a band. I thought, like, oh my God, that guy's good, you know. So I asked him. I don't know how, because I could not send him an email because it didn't exist back then, and I guess not, at least. And so yeah, he joined the band, and that was it. It was just asking around, and people, yeah, were really keen on playing with us because we had a record deal, you know. So it was something special for them.
You said you guys did the Christ Hunt, which has 9 tracks on it, and you guys also Marco was replaced by a guy named Marcel, right? Who I think he passed away in like 2016.
Yeah, he did pass away. I hadn't seen him in many, many years because I guess he was only in the band for a year or maybe 2 years. So he left like, I guess, somewhere in '93. And I think I didn't even, I never met him again after that. And I think he was thirsty all the time, so to speak. So he was drinking quite a lot, and so I think his health was deteriorating. And I think he had some kind of accident where he fell and something happened and he died. That's what I heard, at least, because nobody told me that he died. I found out, I don't know, later, you know, after he was buried anyway. So so I didn't go to his funeral because I didn't know about it. But it's sad, actually. You know, it's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the guy a lot. Really, he was a really nice guy. But he had other interests, and you know, that's what happens when you're young, and you know, you play in a band. Some people stay, some people leave, and but I really liked him, and it's sad to hear that he died. And yeah, I wish he would have had a better life.
Was he doing? Were you guys doing a lot of shows with? Like back then, was he playing a lot of shows with you guys for that in support of the Christ Hunt? Like when you guys were doing that, were you guys like an active live band, or was it like once in a while only?
Well, we at a certain point we played a lot of shows with Gorefest. They were up and coming back then, and they played a lot of shows, and we were lucky enough to play a number of shows with them. There was also another band from the Netherlands called Deadhead. And they were a thrash metal band, but really aggressive. They were good. They were so good. It was unbelievable. And we also played a lot of shows with them. And it was fun.
You released some of the Deadhead stuff, didn't you? Eventually on your label.
On Cold Blood Industries, we did the Kill Division album.
Okay.
And it was I like that album a lot. It's really aggressive and stuff like that. So
And so, was there a lot of internal issues then? Because I know you guys did the Christ Hunt, right? And then you basically put the band to the side. What was the reason? Was it for the first breakup, I guess you would say, or the first, hiatus?
Yeah, it was a breakup. Because I guess we were all young and inexperienced, and I guess it was difficult just to keep a band together. It was difficult to play our songs because they were way too complicated, I guess. And after I lost all my band members again, I decided to call it quits and do something else. And then I knew some guys from a hardcore band called BYOB, meaning Bring Your Own Beer.
Yeah.
So they were having a lot of fun, and so I started jamming around with them. And then those guys and me formed a band together called Ministry of Terror.
And that was Remco. That's where he comes in the picture, right? Because he was in Bring Your Own Beer.
Yeah, and he was also with us for a short while playing bass. So we joined. We started a band called Ministry of Terror, and we did an album and a European tour with Impaled Nazarene. It was the weirdest combination ever, but it was a great tour. And but then people came up to me and said, "Yeah, but you played in God Dethroned, and you should join that band again. It's a much better band, and we like that music a lot more." Blah blah blah. So that's when I thought, like, okay, I'm gonna start my previous band again, and that's what I did.
So you guys did a 4-song. It was a double-sided demo, right? Called Ministry of Terror, like you mentioned. You guys did the Fall of Life full length in '95, and we're actually going to play a track off of that. We're going to play Agony from Ministry of Terror, and that was the Fall of Life record, like we said. That was on Foundation 2000 Records.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna play that song, and Henri will come right back with you after that, and we'll move on to '96 when you put God Dethroned back together. This is Ministry of Terror, the song Agony off the Fall of Life record from 1995. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue with Henri right after this song.
Transform to a law of the dead. It's me, dead.
So 1996, you decide to put God Dethroned back together, and that's when what? So that was Bert, Raul, and Jens got involved with the band.
Mm. Yeah. Bert, his nickname is Beef, so I still call him that. He's still my best friend, actually. And Jens was playing in a death metal band called Cantara, which was a really technical band, and he was a great guy. And
You toured with them, right? With Impaled Nazarene. Was that tour they were on?
no.
Okay.
He was just playing in a band like not far away from where I live, so I knew him from the scene and stuff like that. And so I asked him if he would like to join, and he said yes. And Beef, or Bird, whatever you want to call him, he is something we skipped because I played in a doom metal band called Lords of the Stone.
Okay.
And I did that in, I think, also like 93, 94. And that's where Beef came in. You know, he joined that band as a bass player. And so when I founded God Dethroned again, I asked him to join God Dethroned. And he also said yes.
Did you do any releases with the doom metal band?
Yeah, we did three demos. I played on, I think, on two of them.
Okay.
And then the band also later on did an album, but I wasn't in the band anymore by then. So, but so in Raul, as you call him, Raul is he was playing in a death metal band, and I forgot the name of the band, but he was basically one of the first drummers in the Netherlands who was able to play blast beats on that level that he did. It was like really good. It was like he was standing out from most of the drummers, and I was like, I want that guy in my band, you know. And it was really difficult to get a hold of him because somehow I had to find his phone number to be able to call him. And I think I asked around to a lot of people to get his phone number. And when I finally did, I phoned him up. And then I asked him to play the band. He said yes. Well, I think he said, well, I already play in 4 bands and I have a job and I have a girlfriend, but I also want to play in your band. I was like, okay. How's that going to work? But, you know, he did, and he stayed, and we recorded the Grand Grimoire together.
When you did Grand Grimoire, how long did it take you to get that material together? Were you already writing riffs when you were with Ministry of Terror?
No. I started after that. I guess we wrote Grand Grimoire in 96. We wrote it in the months leading up to the recording, or probably 95. By the end of 95, we started, recorded it early 96, something like that. I guess the album was released in Europe in, was it released in 96 or was it released?
97?
97, yeah, okay. So we did write it and record it in 96. Then we got an offer from Metal Blade. I think it took us 4 months to negotiate the contract. It was quite tough.
Now, did you send Metal Blade rehearsal demos? Were you sending out rehearsal demos, or were they actual like?
We recorded an album without having a record deal.
Nice.
We were able to do that because the guy from Frankie's Recording Kitchen, he said that to me. He said, like, you should record something with God Dethroned again. I said, yeah, man, but I don't have any money. He said, well, you don't need any money because you can just come to me. Come to my studio. We will record the album, and then we'll see later how we deal with the costs. So I said, okay, that's fine. So we wrote the album, recorded it, and then sent out, I think, 4 or 5 tapes to some record labels. And one of them was Metal Blade, and they wanted to sign us, and that's what we did. And so they released the album in 97 in Europe. I'm not sure if they managed to release it in the US also in 97. Could be that it was 98 in the US.
Okay, and with that Grand Grimoire, you had Rene Bossima did the artwork for that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he made the album cover. Yeah. He was on the Film Academy. By that time, I lived in the city, Groningen, where the city I told you about with the Vera Club and the Simpon Club. I lived in that city and back then, and so there was like a film academy, and they were doing all kinds of film stuff, and and artwork, and they were also using new techniques, like, the video we did for Under the Golden Wings of Death was also done by them, by him and two other guys, which was something unique for that time. So yeah, that's how I got to know him. There was a metal bar, heavy metal pub. We would always be there, and they were also always there, and that's how you get to know each other.
You guys also had Danny Goatlord on keys.
Yeah.
Was that when you brought him in there?
No, he lived somewhere else. But I think he started playing in Lords of the Stone later on. So that's how I knew him. And
Okay.
he was really, I loved his keyboard playing. So, and he also would like to do that. So, that's how things came together.
You guys did a European tour that year. What was 6 Feet Under off that record?
Yeah.
And you guys did the No Mercy festivals with Immortal, Cannibal Corpse, Marduk, Obituary, and Angel Corpse. What do you remember memories of that tour?
Oh, that tour was awesome. It was the second edition of the No Mercy festivals. It was basically the start of the festival tours in Europe. I don't know who played on the first edition, but we played on the second edition. So it was only the second time only that ever had a festival tour in Europe, for extreme metal bands at least. So we had 6 bands with Immortal, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Angel Corpse, Marduk, and us. So,
Crazy lineup.
Man, the lineup was so big, and there were so many people coming to the shows. It was unbelievable. But I'm not sure. Was it 98 that we did that tour? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I believe it was 98. Because you guys also did with Benediction that year too, right? In Immortal? Is that off the same record?
That was a year later. That was with Bloody Blasphemy.
Okay, because you guys did Bloody Blasphemy, 98? You guys went back in the studio to record that. And did you feel at this time with Bloody Blasphemy, did you feel like that was your most aggressive compared to what you've done prior to that for the band, material-wise?
I'm not sure if it was more aggressive. It was at least our breakthrough album back then. It's the album that people refer to mostly. Everybody knows Bloody Blasphemy. Everybody knows the album. In my opinion, it's definitely not the best God Dethroned album, but for some kind of reason, it's the Raining Blood of God Dethroned.
Well, you were shortening up the songs too, right? A little bit for that one.
Shortening the songs.
Yeah, the songs were a little not as long as the previous.
No, that's true. I think they were more compact. And the album did very well. And we also did a lot of touring on that album. We went to the US also for the first time after the release of that album.
That's the one, we're going to talk about, because Ed was on that tour with you, because you guys did some of that material. Like I remember Serpent King, which was like about a visible snake, right? That would come and steal your soul, but you couldn't see it. Was that the right story behind that, or am I incorrect?
No, the one about the snake is the lair of the white worm, but the Serpent King is. I don't know how I came to that thing. Probably by watching a movie or something. I must admit that I don't recall.
And Bloody Blasphemy, that was about stealing a necrophiliac, I guess I had read, steals Jesus' body off of the cross and
it's like it's like the album cover, the blue album cover with the two crazy ones, or the 3 demons shaking the cross, trying to get Jesus off of it, and that's what the song is about. It's a bit. It's a bit sarcastic. It's nothing too serious, but that's fun.
I had read about you with that, and obviously the artwork was done by Gene Potter, I believe, on that record.
But, she was from New York.
Well, you're not and I thought this was kind of interesting when I was reading this. You're not so much. It's not, you're not into the Satanism, really. You're just into the whole, you had stated, actually, I think at the beginning of the interview. It's more like religion as a whole, how fucked up it is and what it causes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, what I did actually was take stories from the Bible and try to make a down-to-earth version of it. So on the Grand Grimoire album, there's a song called Under a Silver Moon. And the song is about Joseph and Mary. And in the Bible it says that Mary had a child without getting pregnant. I was like, okay, let's make a down-to-earth story about this. So Joseph didn't do it, but the neighbor did. And he finds out about it. I mean, yes, of course, it's silly. Of course, there's nothing serious about it. But we are forced. Well, we are not forced, but for many years, people have been forced to live by the Bible, according to the Bible, and there were severe consequences when you didn't. And the book is full of shit. Well, at least I try to make a down-to-earth version of some of the stories out of that book. And a lot of people hated me for it, even in the metal scene.
Yeah, when we talk about the new record, you did something really cool. We'll talk about with one of the main tracks you released. I thought the storyline behind it. But so you guys played Dynamo in '99, and is this the same time period that you formed the label Cold Blood Industries?
I formed Cold Blood Industries in '89. No, sorry, '98. '98. Because the guy from the studio, Frankie's Recording Kitchen, and me, we decided to buy back the rights of the Christone album. And we wanted to re-release the album by ourselves, just to see what would happen. And we did, and it was very successful. And then we thought, okay, let's continue having a record label besides the band. And that's what we did. So it was, Cold Blood Industries was basically founded to have a vehicle to re-release the Christone album. That's how it all started.
Okay. And in 2000, Bloody Blasphemy, as you mentioned, you went on tour, which actually, Ed, you were involved with. You guys did the Death Massacre tour, I believe it was called. And that was Hate Eternal, Cannibal Corpse, Diabolic. And you guys did, what, 6 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. It was called, wasn't it called Death Across America? What was it called? Or the Metal Massacre? I still have.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't
think it's
even
called
remember.
Death Metal Massacre. I might be wrong. I think it was called that. Was that your first time in the U.S.?
It was my first time in the U.S., yes. It was awesome. I loved that tour.
Yeah, we talk about that tour on this show because Ed got you got your gear stolen on that tour, didn't you, Ed?
I did. Got my bassist stolen in New York City at L'Amour's.
Yeah, I remember that because...
that was angry Ed at his fullest right there. I was flipping dumpsters and shit. I was pissed. That sucked.
Oh, yeah. But it was scary as well because... This gang came into the venue and started beating people up and
trashed the cars out front, except for the tour vehicles. Only the tour vehicles weren't trashed, which was crazy, right? But then, of course, as we were driving away, they popped the latch on our trailer and stole the stuff. So that's how that worked. But it is what it is. But yeah, I was gone when they were in the club. I walked a mile to call my girl from a payphone. And when I walked back, they were walking down the street and I was like, oh no. And then I saw the chaos afterwards and was like, well, that sucks. Welcome to New York.
Yeah, it was pretty aggressive that night. Yeah.
Oh, and you said you really dug. So I know, and I've also heard you say this before. You're a big fan of playing in the States, right? You actually really enjoy going there.
Yeah, I do. The thing is that it's so difficult for us. I mean, we need visas to tour. We need working visas. We need to fly there. We need to rent a van or a tour bus. We need a driver. We have to pay for a lot of fuel, like every band, of course. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. That's the difficult part. I mean, the US bands, they can come over in Europe and do a tour, and of course they also have the costs like flying and renting a van or being on a tour bus. But at least you don't need to get working visas, and they are so expensive. My God, it's unbelievable how much money they cost, and you need them every year. So you can basically do 2 runs on the one visa, and then you have to get new ones. So it's not easy, and to get on a good tour in the US is also not easy. Actually, it's also not easy in Europe at the moment. But so yeah, there's some hurdles to take when you want to tour the US.
And I'm sure the costs are worse now, as we all know. Everything's so jacked up now, price wise.
Yeah, since the pandemic, everything's gone up at least 15%. So
it's
terrible.
Insane. And so you guys toured Japan that same year, right?
Yeah, we did. We toured with Ritual Carnage. With they had a guy from the US. He lived in Tokyo. He was the singer and bass player of that band. I think his name wasn't it Dan? But it was a really great band. So all Japanese except for the singer bass player. He was American, but he lived in Japan.
You do that, and then what? So after the tour, Rule leaves the band,
Yeah,
and so you guys had what? So Tony Loreno helped you guys out for a while, right? Because I know you guys had the guy from The Crown,
yeah,
Yanni filled in, right? For that, was it for touring for that record?
yeah. I asked Tony to play on the album, on the Ravenous album.
Yeah.
He did, but he couldn't stay. I would have loved to keep him in the band, but he had joined Nile just prior to that, so he was playing with Nile, and but he did record our album. And then when the tour came up, we asked Janne. He played drums for The Crown, and he joined us on tour. It was just a one-off for that tour. And then we had auditions, and then we got a guy called Arjen van Wezenbeek.
And he sent you a demo, right? That's how he got in the band. He heard you guys were looking and sent you guys a demo.
He did send a demo of a band he played in, and it sounded really good. So we asked him over to play with us, and we were all blown away. That guy was incredible. He's still incredible, but he just plays different style of music nowadays. Well, he plays metal, but he plays with Epica. I don't know if you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So we met him in Portugal the other day. We played a festival in Portugal like 2 weeks ago, and then they were the band playing before us. Actually, how funny is that?
When you guys did the Ravenous record, I mean, was your guys' goal always to like make the next record at that time period? Like we're talking like what 2000, so 2001. Was it always to be more brutal than the record before that? Were you guys in that mindset then? Because Ravenous was like a fast record.
It was really fast. It was incredibly fast because I guess Tony and we were in the studio together, just the two of us, and we were playing the songs and just tried to see how fast we could play them. And luckily, I can say now, there were a couple of songs that we decided to play slower instead of faster, because we also recorded some takes that were like so incredibly fast, it would have been impossible to reproduce that in a live situation. So it was way too fast. It was almost it was like slapstick music, you know.
And how was Tony in the studio? Was it like an ease? Because I've always heard, like we had a guest on. We were talking about, we had what's his name from Dallas on from Nile not too long ago, and Tony was a pro in the studio, right? He bangs it out like no problem. We've always heard.
Yeah, he's really professional. So yeah, he would just he learned the songs during the flight to Europe, and then we would rehearse a few times in the studio, and he would just play all the songs. I think it was done in a few days. You know, and it was perfect. And he's a great guy anyway, so it was a lot of fun.
In 2002, you guys entered the studio again in Sweden, right? Was that your first? So was that your first time recording in Sweden when you guys did Into the Lungs of Hell?
Yeah, Into the Lungs of Hell was the first time outside Frankie's recording kitchen for me. Mm-hmm. Until that time, I've been recording in Frankie's. So we went to Brno Studio in Sweden, in Malmö. It's in the south of Sweden. It's a great studio.
Henrik Larsson, right?
Yeah, we worked with producer Henrik Larsson. He's a great guy, great producer. He did one of the heaviest albums for us, Into the Lungs of Hell. And then and we went back for the other album, The Lair of the White Worm. We also did there in Malmö, in Sweden.
Was the original title going to be Gods of Terror, or is that like just a myth for that record, for Into the Lungs of Hell?
I don't remember. Sometimes we worked with like working titles, mm-hmm. if we didn't know what the real album title would be. So it could be that we called it Gods of Terror. We've used so many stupid names for possible album names, you know, album titles back then, that some people reminded me of it like years later, and I said, I don't know, and they got angry, like, oh, you don't want to talk about it. But I really didn't know anymore.
So the cover art for that was, so I'm going to probably pronounce his name wrong, but that was Joachim Luchti.
Yeah, he was a guy from Austria. We tried to find someone who did really good stuff, and I think he had done something for some really big bands. I'm not sure if he did something for Dimmy Borgir or something like that, but he had a big name, and so he came up with the album cover with a city where a tornado of fire was going through. But of course, we also had 9/11, and Metal Blade was really pissed off about the album cover because they thought we were referring to 9/11, and of course we did not.
Wasn't the artwork a reflection of like it was like a reflection of the modern Western society, and it had nothing to do with 9/11, right? That was kind of like it was more about society in general.
Yeah, I mean, we had the song called "Into the Lungs of Hell," and it was like representing hell basically in a city, something like that. I don't think there was a big story behind it, to be honest, but it definitely had nothing to do with 9/11. But I think at Metal Blade they thought otherwise, and they were really, really disappointed with us. So they came up with a funny red print on the black album cover, and yeah. So we paid a lot of money for the album cover, and it was basically never used, unless I think for the European version in the digipack it had a booklet with the original artwork on it. But for the rest, like the jewel case CDs, they all had this what do you call it?
Slip-over case were they putting on those?
Yeah, or they had like a censored version or something. Yeah, Metal Blade really wasn't happy about it.
And that was on that record. You guys decided to bring back like the more like the anti-religious themes, right? Because the Ravenous kind of like didn't have it. I felt like that record had a little more of the anti-religious than Ravenous. Am I correct?
Yes, I think so. I think Ravenous was more based on movies and stuff like that. Yeah, it was more fictional, and Into the Lungs of Hell, I guess. Oh, it was also a lot of fiction on Into the Lungs of Hell. It wasn't all too serious. It was not too many anti-Christian themes on it, I think. I think after Bloody Blasphemy, we calmed down a little bit with all the topics about Christianity, because at a certain point you're like, okay, what am I going to write about this time? I want to do something new, something fresh. So it became more like fiction on the albums after Bloody Blasphemy.
And so you guys do some touring for that record, Into the Lungs of Hell, and then Beef leaves the band and Jens leaves the band, and they're replaced by Henk Zingler on bass, and then guitarist Isaac Delhaint. I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, so I'll just say Isaac.
Yeah.
And they finished the tour with you on that? Touring?
Yeah, we did a lot of touring. When we did Lair of the White Worm, because we're talking about that album, actually there were only two people left in the band when we went into the studio. Oh no, when we started writing the album, was it Arjen and me, the drummer and me? We were the only two band members left. We wrote the whole album, and then when we went into the studio, like right before it, I think Henk and Isaac joined the band. So we went to the studio as a 4-piece, but all the songs were written by two people.
And Henk used to help you out, right, in the studio. That's how you kind of got to know Henk. When you were on tour, he would fill in for you at with the label.
Yeah, he did help with the label. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's good that you mention it, because that's how I got to know him. I think we met on a train once. I think he went to work or went to school in the same city where I also had to go to work, and we met on the train, and you get to talking about music and stuff. And that's how we got together in Cold Blood Industries, and later on in God Dethroned. Yeah, he's a great guy. He lives not far from here. He's still a good friend.
Yeah. We're going to play, actually, Slaughtering the Faithful off of Into the Lungs of Hell from 2003 from God Dethroned. And we'll be back with Henry right after this track. This is Slaughtering the Faithful.
Slaughtering the faithful.
And that was Slaughtering the Faithful from God Dethroned off of Into the Lungs of Hell album. And we're back on the Tampa Morgue with Henri. And you also did the Bonded by Metal tour with Exodus in 2003.
Was that 2003 already? Oh wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah, we did do a tour with Exodus. It was a tour with 9 bands. It was way too much, way too many bands. Also, way too many people for the backstage areas in the venues where we played. It was a tough tour. It was a tour with that was not very well arranged. I know I remember Agent Steel was on the tour. I think they were kicked off after 2 or 3 days already. Yeah, it was terrible because they were coming from the US and had to fly back to the US without making any money. So that was really terrible. And during the tour, more and more bands dropped off. And yeah, it was the tour was a disaster in itself. Yeah, it was really painful.
Yeah, that's what we ever talking about that. Sometimes, you feel like some of these shows you have like 10 bands on it and stuff. Man, it's just excessive. And like a lot of those tours, they're probably trying to make money or, have some bands buy on, obviously, to help pay the major bands for the buses and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that bugs you personally?
Yeah, I mean the way that tour was set up to come back to that tour. I mean, it was one of the last times that that agency did a festival tour because they got really big by doing festival tours like the No Mercy festivals. But then after doing that specific tour, I think it went so poorly that it was basically the end of the big festival tours for death metal bands and thrash metal bands in Europe. And yeah, well, you still see nowadays this buy-on thing where like younger bands have to pay money to go on tour for the expenses of the bigger bands or for tour expenses. It's quite terrible. I mean, of course there will be costs, and sometimes costs have to be covered by bands. But in the past, a label would finance it. It would be part of building up a band. It would be part of the promotion budget, which is fine then. But if a band has to pay for it themselves, I think it's terrible. I mean, look at how expensive it is anyway. And then on top of that, you have to pay. That's not a good idea, I think.
Yeah, it's and Ed, you saw that on when you guys were touring last time. And sometimes these bands play for nobody. They put them on so early when the club's just entering on. But it's you kind of get it because it's so hard to make it these days. It's so different than it was 20 years ago. I mean, there's so many bands and stuff that just to be on some of these bills, to be on this, it's you kind of sell your soul, I guess, in a way because you want to play with the God Dethroned or you want to play with the Cannibal Corpses and stuff like that, So
yeah,
it's definitely something that still goes on. In 2004, you guys are back in Sweden. You guys do the White Worm record, and that's influenced by a Bram Stoker novel.
Yeah, it's the Bram Stoker. The last novel he wrote before he died was Lair of the White Worm. There's also made a movie out of that book, from that book. I've seen it. It's not as spectacular as Dracula, of course, but it's a nice story, and I decided to use it for the title track of that album because I liked it. It's about the woman who moves so silently that you don't hear her walk, and then at night she turns into a snake, so she also moves around without you hearing her. And I found it fascinating, and it was cool, and so we wrote a song about it, and it became the title track of that album. And we did a lot of touring on that album, a lot. We went to the US for the second time after that album.
You guys did what? You guys did Summer Breeze. You guys toured with Bull Thrower, I believe, on that record, and Tomb, Suffocation. Because you guys did a lot of touring back in the day. I mean, you guys were always seemed like they were on a lot of bills. And when you guys did that record, it only took you about 3 weeks to record it. Was pretty much the timetable.
Yeah, probably. We always took like probably 2 weeks to record it, or a week and a half, and then the same time for the mix. We were well prepared, and we were pretty good musicians. So we would go into the studio. Drums would be recorded within 2 days easily, and then we would start layering guitars and bass and vocals, and it was done.
You guys, nihilism became like a staple for you guys set too. You guys kept that in there a lot.
Yeah, nihilism is like what Wasted Years is to Iron Maiden, I guess, and that's nihilism to us. It's a song we always play. People really love it. It's probably also one of the best songs we ever wrote, I think. So yeah, so nihilism is our anthem, so to speak.
And you know, I'm going to say this because I've listened to you guys for years, man, and you guys are great songwriters. And that's one thing about the band with God Dethroned is there's a lot of extreme metal bands where it's like sometimes it's just a talent show. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, but there's not like the hooks and this. You know, I always felt with God Dethroned, you know, you're getting there's a lot of catchiness, there's a lot of hooks, there's a lot of I mean, especially on some albums more than other albums. There's a lot of layers to it and stuff. But I gotta say, man, you're great songwriters. I've always thought that, you know, and you still hear that when I hear the new stuff. I'm hearing that on the new records or on the new record already. So I had to tell you that. But
Thank you.
no problem. But you guys had listening parties too, right? And barbecues and paintballs for that record.
Yeah, we did. I remember we had a couple of listening sessions for previous albums, but the Lair of the White Worm album, we flew in like European press. We got them over to some kind of paintball field thing. So we would play paintball together, and then afterwards we had a barbecue, and people would listen to the album. And then after that, we would go to City of Groningen again, and to go to the metal bar we always go to, and have a drink till people passed out, and everybody was going home with a great feeling, and you know, things like that. I don't know if they still remember the music the next day because of all the drinking, but yeah, it was fun. It was, you know, back then Metal Blade had the budget to do things like that. You know, it was really special. I mean, look at how much money that will cost if you fly in like the bulk or at least the biggest magazines from all over Europe. I mean,
now forget about it. Yeah, now it's like, you know, I mean, it would be insane just the plane tickets.
Yeah.
You guys tour through Europe with Bolt Thrower. You guys finish that up. Then you guys go to Toxic Touch record, and you guys recorded that in Germany at the Sound Lodge.
Yeah, it was the first time we went to Sound Lodge Studio in Germany. Yes, and it's probably the album with maybe the best production we ever had, or at least one of the albums with one of the best productions we ever had. Of course, the album is completely different from the rest.
Slower, right? You guys kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, slowed down. It's more melodic. It's a little bit more modern. Yes, the album is a bit more modern. It's because Arjen and Isaac were the younger guys in the band. They were more into the modern style metal bands, and their influence came through in the new songs for the Toxic Touch album. So it was like, it's the album that a lot of people hate, and it's also the album that a lot of people love. So it's a bit of both. I think the old school fans hated it because it was so modern in a way, and the people who liked the album didn't like the album that came after that one because it was so old school again.
And you guys toured with Vader on that from that record, right? When it came out.
Yeah, we toured with Vader. We toured with Vader more, but that also after that album.
And then what's his name? Rule returns to the band, right? On drums, and you also have Susan Girl. I probably pronouncing her name wrong, but it's from Kill Division, Clit Eater. She replaces Isaac during that time period.
Yeah, that's true. She came in after the recordings of the Passchendaele album. And so because Arjen and Isaac went to Epica back then, so they left the band and went to Epica. It was a musical style that they really appreciated, and the band was getting huge, so I can't blame them for taking that step. It was a pity to see them go, of course, but then we got Rule back, we got Susan in the band. That was not a very successful lineup in the sense that, Rule is an awesome drummer, but after we had Arjen for quite a number of years, that guy was so on such a high level that everybody who would come after him would be a little bit disappointing, and it didn't really work out with Rule in that time. I think he had a little bit too much going on, so it wasn't it was not a perfect relationship.
When Susan replaced by Michael, right? After that, you guys replaced Susan with him, and then Danny Tucker came in also.
Yeah, Danny Tucker came in as a guitar player, so he replaced Susan. And on drums we got Michiel Michael van der Plicht. He replaced Roel on drums.
And off that album, you guys—that's the first time you guys played South America too, right? It was the first tour through there.
Yeah, we did. I think first South American tour was 2009, I guess. Yeah,
Okay,
pretty sure. We played Colombia with Belfagor. That was awesome.
In 2009, you mentioned the Passchendaele, right? And that was influenced by a city that Isaac lived in, where you would basically there was a sign on the streets that actually said Passchendaele by, because that whole area is like a war, but it's Ypres, right, which is where he lived at.
Yeah. Yeah, Ypres was on the front line of World War One, and so there's a lot of museums, war cemeteries, all kinds of stuff, trenches, all kinds of stuff still left over from World War One. So he lived there, and then when I would visit him in the weekends, sometimes we would go out, and then the pubs would be filled with people from the UK, basically, who were there to go to a grave of a lost relative, or killed relative, killed in World War One, and all those people would be in the pubs, and it was such a actually nice atmosphere, among these people, and because of all the things that I got to know about World War One, being there, I thought like it would be great to do an album about World War One, because I like history. And it was something I hadn't done before. And actually, nobody really did something about World War One.
Yeah, it was World War II, right? I mean, most bands focused on.
Yeah.
Did you wanted that record, Passchendaele, to be the complete opposite of Toxic Touch, like less of a clean record?
I just came out that way. I'm not the kind of guy who writes songs like many of the songs on Toxic Touch. Of course, I still wrote quite a lot of stuff for Toxic Touch, but without Isaac and without Arjen, it would be impossible to do another album like that. I needed them to do another Toxic Touch, but they were gone, so we did something else. So Passchendaele is a more raw album, but it also fits the atmosphere of World War One a lot more, It's a completely different album because of the lyrics and the themes we sing about and stuff like that.
Now, and you wrote it through like a neutral point of view too, right? When you wrote that record, did you do all the lyrics?
I did all the lyrics, yeah.
And did you wrote that through like you didn't take a side, right? When you wrote it,
yeah.
You kind of
yeah. So I took specific battles, but I didn't describe who did what. Because basically both sides did the same thing. And, I didn't want to take a side. I just wanted to describe the situation as it was. And it wouldn't matter if it was from a German point of view or an Austrian point of view or an English point of view or Canadian. So I just made descriptions of what was going on. And that was much more important to me. So we could also play everywhere and play the songs, and people would not feel offended by it.
Yeah. Are you surprised? Like, we don't talk about much of this stuff on the show, really, but with what's going on in the world now, like, I'm over in Eastern Europe. Like, I live in Tampa too, but I'm over. We live in Lithuania, so everything that's going on now with with obviously now. For God Dethroned, you have fans all over the world. Obviously, you're going to have fans in Russia. You're going to have fans in this place or that place or that place. Are you surprised that in 2024 that I'm trying to say it the right way, because I mean, someone just came and took land from people. Are you surprised this is happening now in 2024? When you're writing that record, you're kind of writing it like this was history, right? This won't repeat itself. Is it kind of amaze you that what was going on in the world today, whether you go to Israel, there's a bunch of shit going on.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm surprised on one hand, On the other hand, nothing has changed. Everything stays the same. You know, when this is over, some other country will invade another country. So, but the whole thing about Russia and Israel, you know, I don't speak about it when I do an interview for the band, because I have an opinion about it. But the opinion itself, my opinion, doesn't have anything to do with the band.
That's how we are here. We usually don't say anything either. It's a
You know,
surprise factor that it goes on now is what amazes me. I didn't really expect it to happen again in 2024, even though I'm not shocked by it.
no, I mean, I think, you know, the whole situation with NATO wanting to expand more and more towards the east. Of course, they could expect that Russia would not appreciate that very much. On the other hand, the Russians didn't have to invade Ukraine. I mean, it also doesn't make sense. I meet Ukrainian and Russian people, and they like each other. They are like family. They are
Family. A lot of them, yeah, a lot of
yeah,
relatives.
they are. So it doesn't make sense. This whole thing doesn't make sense. But I can say something about it, and I can say something about it when I'm doing a band interview. But I don't want to be involved in it when I talk about the band. You know, I think it's a terrible situation anyway, from a human point of view. But we're not a political band, and I don't want to make any political statements.
You know, it's shocking to me I'm from the U.S., obviously, and I tell Ed all the time, I've seen, since I've moved here, there's always tanks driving by or these military things that, from the U.S., you're kind of shocked by seeing it. Now, I've been here for a few years now. It's kind of the norm now. It's what I expect, you know. It's kind of, and we're the same way. We actually don't ever really talk about it on the show, besides the fact that I never thought in 2024 that I would see this happen again. But, you know, it's obviously, I thought of that when I was thinking of your records, because I know, like we were saying on that one, you took a neutral point of view on that record, and even on this, and I think on the second one, Under the Sign of the Iron Cross, you kind of took what was it, Through the Eyes of the Soldiers, right?
No, not really. I described so many things already on the first album, on Passion Hill, that it was already getting difficult to do the same quality of lyrics for Under the Sign of the Iron Cross. And a few things that I found out on that album was the fact that the war, because, you know, people try to invent new things to conquer the enemy. If there's a stalemate because people are sitting in trenches, they had to come up with something new, like the tank, like poison gas, like the aeroplane. And one of the things they had better guns, better cannons, so they started shooting at the front line from a much bigger distance. So that's why I wrote the song "The Killing is Faceless," because you were shooting at somebody that you couldn't even see. You were just getting coordinates from somebody close to the front line, telling you, okay, you have to shoot at these and these coordinates, and then you will kill the enemy. So they did that. They shot at the enemy, but they didn't even see them. So the killing became faceless. So I started writing themes more about things like that, psychological twists of how the war was progressing, basically.
And it was more of an angry record than the prior one, right? Would you say it was more? Was that your mindset at the time? Because I felt like Under the Sign of the Cross seemed like a little more. It was more violent and pissed off than maybe Passchendaele was.
Yeah, Passchendaele is a bit like Grand Grimoire to me. It's an album with aggression, but also a lot of melody and certain atmospheres that we also had on the Grand Grimoire album. And Under the Sign of the Iron Cross is a really fast and aggressive album. It's like brutal from beginning to end. There's not 1 second where you can take a breath or something. It's just blasting on and on and on. It was my state of mind back then.
You can even feel it listening to those records. In 2012, you decide you need a break, right? You're just basically like, which we all go through. You just kind of wanted to step away for a while after that record.
Yeah, it was getting too much. There were some personal issues I had to deal with back then. So I decided to call it quits, because I was doubting what I should do. Should I quit or should I take a break? And I realized that if I would take a break, then people would still bug me. Okay, when are you coming back? When is the new album coming? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, if I quit, then nobody will ask me about it, and I will have peace for a while. So that's what I decided to do, to call it quits. But blood is thicker than water, as they say. So I had to come back after a couple of years.
And you were playing bass, right? In Dictated. You
Yeah.
did a record in 2014 called "The Deceived" and stuff. Was that like more chill for you and not so much pressure?
Oh yeah, it made a lot of difference. I was helping the band out just because I liked them, and then I started playing bass for them for live shows for just a short while. It was a lot of fun because there was no pressure for me because I wasn't running the band. I was just helping them, and they would do all the other things that I usually have to do for God Dethroned, and so that was fun. Because God Dethroned is not always fun in the sense that there's always a pressure, there's always expectations, there's always a pace where you have to do things like recording an album, doing a tour, and another one, and then do a new album again. And it was fun to do to just play music and enjoy it and not feel the pressure of having to do something.
And did you think that God of Throne was actually? Were you like mentally like I'm done with that at that point before you decided to come back together? Was it pretty much in your mind a done deal?
Yeah, I was done with it, and I actually when we came back together in 2015, I was still done with it. I just said to the guys, I just want to play some nice shows, and I don't want to do a new album. I just want to play some nice shows here and there, and that's it. I just want to play live. It doesn't have to be that excessive anymore, and I don't want to do a new album. So everybody said, okay, if that's what you want, that's what we're gonna do. And so I guess after a couple of years, the booking agent said, "Man, this is going to dry up. If you don't do a new album, then eventually nobody will book you anymore."
Wow.
So he was forcing me to write a new album.
And when you decided to come back, it was because you were at Mike from a Metal Blade had passed away, right? From a brain tumor. You were at the funeral, and that's when you really kind
Yeah,
of realized that, like, because Mike had, I'll let you. So Mike had a lot to do with God Dethroned success, right?
yeah, he was the one who signed us. He was the one who always supported us. There were three of the bands that he really liked, which was Amon Amarth, The Crown, and us. And for many years, the three bands would stay on the same level until Amon Amarth took off to becoming a really big band. And but yeah, I owe everything to him. And when he passed away, I went to his funeral. I met the guys from Amon Amarth. I met the people from the business, from other labels, people from Metal Blade. Yeah, that's the moment when I realized that I miss everybody so much.
And I could be wrong here, but was your last show? So the last show in 2012 was 70,000 tons of metal, right? And then your first show back was 70,000 tons of metal. Is that a fact, or is that am I
Yeah,
incorrect?
we were lucky enough to be able to do the final show at the cruise at 70,000 tons of metal, and everything fine. We had some really great shows on that cruise in 2012, and then when we finally decided to come back together in 2015, I wrote him an email. I said, "Hey man, we're coming back together, and how great would it be if we could start again where we left off at your cruise?" He said, "Okay, fine, you can play again." So that's what we did. We played there the first shows in 2015.
Did it feel natural when you came back? Like, this is where you should be? Were you just like, yeah, I mean, 'cause the reaction on the boat I heard was killer and stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was like a perfect circle. So yeah,
So 2000, you mentioned coming back and doing an album. So basically, this is the end of your trilogy, right? For because 2017, you guys did "The World Ablaze," which is the final record of the World War One trilogy,
yeah,
and that was your 10th record in 26 years, which is crazy. But that's a great record, first of all. But that's a very stripped down record, right? No keyboards, no clean vocal. It's very raw in a
yeah.
way.
It's true. It was an album where we thought like, do we need all the keyboards and stuff? No, we don't need them. Okay, skip it. So we didn't do any of that. It was just guitars. We had a Mike Ferguson on guitar for that album, and he was like that. He was like, why should we do keyboards? Because we don't need them. We can also just do like guitars. I said, yeah, why not? So we didn't do it at all, and it was nice.
It wasn't those was Mike, like you said, and Euron, I believe his name was, the bass player. But that was like you did like that. You kind of took your time with it before you made them official, right? They kind of had like a 2-year honeymoon window there of like session members with those guys.
I don't even remember. Yeah, but I guess they were in the band since we came back together, since 2015. And then they were on the album. And when did we release it? 2018?
2017.
Oh, 17. Okay, so it was 2 years after that. Okay. Yeah, well, they've been with us for since early 15 or late 14 probably.
And you guys worked with Dan Swano on that record also.
Yeah. It was a one-off, but it was great. He's a cool guy. He's a great producer. He did a good mix. And but we wanted something else for Illuminati. And we went to one of the first guys who did Rammstein for the mix of Illuminati. And he totally destroyed the album.
Was that Ronald Prent, was it? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was horrifying, really.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about the Illuminati, and you guys for that. But with the World Ablaze, you guys did 5 album release shows for that, right? The Serpent Fest. Then you guys did, I think, Japan, USA, and I think what you said earlier too was you started running out of ideas by the third, right? By the third World War album, you were about done.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you write songs about World War One, where everybody's in trenches for 4 years. Okay, so by album number 3, there's nothing to write about anymore. So I guess I did come up with some historical stuff, but for the rest it was like fiction in that setting of World War One. Yeah, it was quite a challenge to write all the lyrics for that album because I didn't know what to write about anymore. But I promised people to do a trilogy, so I felt like obliged.
You lived up to your word.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna play On the Wrong Side of the Wire from the World Ablaze record from 2017. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna just keep you here for a couple more minutes. We'll let you get out of here. This is On the Wrong Side of the Wire from God Dethroned off the World Ablaze record 2017. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue with Henri after this track.
Deep inside, enemy lost, buried in a nameless grave. Another body maimed, praying for a swift ending. Another life is lost, buried in a nameless grave. Another body maimed, praying for a swift ending. On the wrong side of the wire, on the wrong side of the wire, surrounded by the enemy, we hold our ground. Impossible to reach the lights, we hold our ground.
2019, you're finishing up the next record. 2020 is Illuminati. You're offered to tour with Belphegor and Suffocation. And Mike, the guitarist at that time, he wasn't really interested in going, and that's where Dave enters the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Mike didn't feel like doing the tour, and so we asked Dave to replace him just for the tour. But well, when you know that somebody is not willing to do a tour, then it will happen again. So we decided to fix that problem before it became a problem again. Again, on one hand, it's a pity because Mike and the rest of the band got along very well, but yeah, we had to think about the future, so we decided to keep Dave instead.
And this time you're now, which is really cool, is this is the time period where you make your house into a studio, right? So you're recording at home, I believe, at this time. And Dave, you already had the recording done, but you were doing the mix, so you actually let Dave do the solos for the record?
Yeah, because Mike had played 50% of the rhythm guitars and his guitar solos. And then all the issues came up, and we decided to part ways with him. Then Dave said, yeah, but why should I play somebody else's guitar solos if I can play my own? Because there's still time. So he re-recorded the guitar solos. So he would, at least when he would play live with us, he could play his own guitar solos. And that made sense, of course.
No. And on that album, is this stuff, so what? Illuminati, I believe it was. There was 3 records where I think it was Passchendaele, World Ablaze, and Illuminati. You had no outside influences, right? Is this the time period where those records, you weren't listening to like a bunch of like metal, or like you were kind of going natural with your own stuff, not like bombarding yourself with a bunch of records?
Yeah, I did that for a couple of years, where I would write songs without any influences from any other bands. And Illuminati was definitely one of them, and I guess also the same goes for the new album. So writing from what comes up naturally, without any influence from outside. Because if you listen to a lot of metal bands, they will influence you because it's in your system, if you want it or not. Even if you don't think about it, it's still there. And I wanted to exclude all the outside influences. So yeah, that's how I did it.
And you mentioned, we're going to talk about your new record in a minute. You had mentioned the fact that that you guys kind of had budget problems because of the original mix, right? Because the original mix you weren't satisfied with, and you went and redid the mix with the guy who you said you did the first demo with back in '91, I believe.
Yeah.
So he came and helped you, but can you explain that to us? How that happened?
Well, yeah, we had a big problem because we went to one of the most expensive studios in the country to have our album mixed by the guy who did Rammstein. For some kind of reason, we thought it would be a good idea, and then it was a huge disaster. It was like everything went wrong. But all the money was gone as well because he wanted to get paid, and we had no. Yeah, we told him we didn't like it, so he did it again, and it was maybe a little bit better, but it was still not good. So we had to go somewhere else, but we ran out of budget. So I went back to my friend from Frankie's Recording Kitchen and I asked him, "Can you help me mix the album?" And he said, "Yeah, man, no problem, let's do it." But it took quite a while. So the album was released later than we originally planned. You know, it should have been out by October 2019. But because of all the delays, it was like released in February 2020, a month before COVID ruined everything on planet Earth.
And how much did that affect for you guys? You know, I mean, it affected a lot of bands I know at that time period. But do you feel like that really like to support that record, you're kind of fucked, right?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to do a couple of release shows or album. What was it called? Album release shows. On top of the release date, and also like within a week, we did the European tour, and we were traveling in the right direction, so we were staying ahead of COVID.
Was that with Belphegor and Suffocation? Was that
No, that was after. Belphegor Suffocation was 2019, and this was 2020 with a German technical band, technical death metal band. I cannot remember the name right now, but anyway, it was a pretty good tour. But we were going east and then north in Europe, and we managed to stay ahead of COVID just by basically one day. And we managed to finish the whole tour. We came back in somewhere in March, halfway March, and then the world came to a standstill, basically, meaning that we couldn't promote the album anymore. So it was a really frustrating time.
And you know, and now you move on. I know, like I don't know what it was I had read, but I had read something where you had that, and you weren't wanting to make a new record after that right away because you kind of just put out this record, right? You're kind of waiting it out. Are you starting to write? Like, first of all, what's the benefit of having a studio in your house now? I mean, how much that must take off so much. You're not on a clock anymore. You know, of course, you know now you can do your records like that. So, are you starting to like work in your studio during the pandemic at all on the record we're about to talk to now, the new one?
I was so disappointed after seeing Illuminati go to pieces because of COVID. It was so demotivating for me that I didn't do anything for a couple of years. I didn't feel like writing music. I didn't feel like doing anything. And then we got a new record deal with Raining Phoenix Music. And of course, if you sign a new record deal, you have to do something. And it still took me a while before I got into the right mode to start writing new songs. And then when I came up with Hubris Anorexia from a new album, then the rest of the guys were like, okay, that's the direction you want to go. Okay, so now we will start as well.
And I want to say, because you like you mentioned the Phoenix label now, you got a good relationship with Metal Blade. There was never really a problem there. You just kind of felt stagnant. Maybe it was time to change something.
Yeah, it was time to change. I mean, we were at Metal Blade for 25 years, which was great, and we owe everything to Metal Blade. But at a certain point, you need to change because unless you're the biggest band on the label, things are staying the same, and we needed some renewed enthusiasm for us, but also from the label. So we got the opportunity to sign at Raining Phoenix, at the time still called Atomic Fire. You know, it was the previous owner of Nuclear Blast who started Atomic Fire and then sold that company again. So now it became Raining Phoenix Music. So yeah, it was like a new start. I felt like we needed it, and they were interested in signing us, so we did that. But still, it took a while before I got into writing mode again. And then when I did, there were so many ideas because I hadn't written any songs for so many years. Yeah, then the greatest stuff came out, like what you can hear now on the new album.
And that brings us to the new record, the Judas Paradox. We opened the show with Rat Kingdom, actually.
Cool. Nice.
And you guys also did a video for that, man. You guys, you know, your videos are always killer. You guys started putting singles out. I know you guys re-recorded, I think, one of the singles though on the record, but you guys started putting singles out as early as like 2 years ago.
Yeah, we did Asmodeus like in 2022. It was like our gift from us to Raining Phoenix Music as a sort of thank you for signing us. And but you know, that album, it was one of my first productions. I started focusing on mixing during the pandemic. So I like the Asmodeus version of 2022 was my first proper mix, so to speak. But yeah, in the meantime, I got better and better and better, and I wanted to, I liked that song so much. I wanted to do a re-recorded version for the new album with a much better production, and so I did. I did produce the new album myself. We did everything ourselves, and I mixed it myself, and yeah, I'm totally happy with it.
And you also have a drummer named Frank now who joined the band. What is the yeah? What is your current like on the new record? You have you, Frank. What's the exact lineup on this new record now?
Yeah, well, it's still Jerome, who also played on Illuminati and the what was the name again? World Ablaze.
Blaze.
Frank is new for this album. He joined in 2020 actually. He's in the band for quite some years, but of course, the first year or two we couldn't do anything. And then we have Dave still on lead guitar since he joined in 2019. So that's the lineup, and we wrote all the songs together. Well, everybody had their input. That's what I mean.
And when you guys write a record, right? When you put it together, right? You look at it, So I heard you say that you don't look at it from like the single aspect. You look at it from start to finish, right? From the beginning of the record through the end. Like the listener who listens to the whole record, just the way back in the day we would listen to records. Every track kind of, was like a storyline. And that's still what you do now on this new record?
Yeah. We still put an album together thinking people will start at the beginning and listen until the album is finished. So we take you on a trip through the highs and lows of the atmosphere on the album. We're not thinking from the new perspective, like people are listening to playlists on Spotify where they hear one of your new songs, or they just know the singles and nothing else. We still put an album together for our fans, the people who want to listen to all the songs. And then to listen to the songs in a particular order makes the album a lot nicer. At least that's how I perceive it.
And you guys put out, there's 2 singles out right now. And I thought was really cool is, so Judas is basically looking through the eyes of Judas, the betrayer, right? That's the lyrics on that song is you're kind of, because there's one of the verses in that is like, my friends don't hate me for what I did. You're kind of going through the eyes of Judas actually on that song.
Well, it's a little bit different. You're mixing up a few things. When I did research for this song, I found out that there's actually more versions about what Judas did. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, in the Bible, there's different stories about this topic. Of course, there's a classic story where Judas is the betrayer, and the story everybody knows. But there's also a story in the Bible from another disciple who writes that Jesus could look into the future and had set up this plan to be killed only to return as king of the world. But because he could look into the future, it also meant that Judas didn't act in free will. He was basically forced to do this. So in the song, I wrote the song from the perspective of Judas, where he describes that he's one of the 12 disciples, that he's happy to be one of the 12 disciples, that he sees Jesus as his brother. And then the whole part comes about the betraying and stuff. And then when the clean singing starts, and that's what you just mentioned, is when the clean singing is done by Dave, our guitar player, and he sings the part from Jesus where he says to Judas, "Please forgive me for what I did. I was killed for a greater good, and you were the chosen one, basically. Judas was the chosen one to fulfill this plan. So I turned everything around. It's okay. So Judas still caused, the death of Jesus Christ, but not because he wanted to, but because it was a plan that was made.
His role.
Yeah.
Okay, and you guys, and also when you write on these out, so I know you guys do like Egyptian mythology, Freemasonry, and stuff like that. Do you, is this stuff that like in your personal life did you do a lot of reading and research when you do this stuff? Is it like something that personally you're into?
Yeah, I'm personally into that, I usually do research for all of the lyrics, and of course, certain lyrics don't really need it because it's all fiction. But when there's historical themes mixed in my lyrics, then yeah, I do the research because I want things to be as accurate as possible.
Who did the album art for this record?
It was actually a Dutch. No, it was not a Dutch painter. It's a painting which is in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, and it's a painting done by. Let me get some light. Can you still see me, by the way?
I can still see it somewhat. It's definitely getting dark.
Yeah, it's getting dark. All right, let me see. The painting was done by, I think. The painting is called "The Fall of the Rebel Angels" by Alexis Lair. And that guy lived from 1650 to 1713. And he did the painting. It's in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. And it's free to use artwork like that, as long as you mention who painted it. You know, you have to mention, you have to give the credits to the.
You can't change it, right? You can't like add shit to it as part of the rules. I think.
No, this is the original painting. What you're seeing, and yeah, it fits to the whole concept. I think it's a beautiful
awesome,
painting. So yeah, that's why.
Great. And you guys have coming up here. You guys have a European tour that starts September 26th.
Yeah, a European tour with Batushka and Ultimas. It will be a tour for a month across all of Europe, basically. And yeah, looking forward to it because the other two bands are very, they're not into blast beats and stuff like that. So it's more like a lot of music actually going on, a lot of atmospheres that are being created. So we have all the options to play the atmospheric songs, the brutal songs. We can make a very nice mix because we don't have to compete with bands who play brutal stuff only. It means that we can also play the more melodic and more atmospheric songs as well, because the audience that will come to the shows is also more into that stuff.
And you guys are hitting USA too, right? I think the beginning of next year, is it?
That's the plan. We should have been there already this year, and early this year, but unfortunately that couldn't happen because of some visa problems with the headlining band. So we should have been there already, but yeah, hopefully it will. Now this time it will happen early next year.
Nice. And you're still doing Serpent King guitars that you own?
No, I quit. I quit last year. I had an inflammation in my shoulder, which prevented me from doing heavy work. So I decided to quit because I couldn't do it properly anymore, unfortunately.
Okay, man, we really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, Henri. I mean, Ed, we're definitely glad to have you on. I was really glad to find a way to get you on. Like I said, I was kind of figuring out. I was like, well, how do I get a hold of him? And I talked to Curtis, I believe his name was, and he totally hooked us up, man. But
yeah,
Ed.
Yeah, I got history with Henri. When I heard, I was excited because I'm like, man, it didn't hit me until I really thought about when that tour was, that it was 24 years ago, and I was like, wow. And it was such an epic tour because if you remember, that was Hate Eternal's first tour as a band. So it was.
And Roddy was just starting out with them too, right?
Yeah, it was Roddy. It was Roddy, Jared, and Eric, and plus the Cannibal guys. That was a great time, and a few of the guys in Diabolic were cool, so it was fun.
Yeah,
it was a good tour, except for New York. Everything else was, we played that couple festival places. We did the New England Hardcore Fest.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Got to play the ballroom where the Milwaukee Metal Fest is played. So we got to do some pretty cool venues and shows, and it was a good 6-week trek.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's again, man. We definitely knew the new God Dethroned album's coming out on September 6th, 2024. We've already checked it out. Awesome record. And where can they find anything God Dethroned related? You got a webpage or
on our website, goddethroned.com.
Instagram?
Yeah, God Dethroned official, and then Facebook God Dethroned. Yeah, no, everything God Dethroned. Just type in the name God Dethroned, and the rest will happen by itself.
Cool, man. And we're going to say goodbye to you in a minute. We're going to play the Judas Paradox here, and we're going to say goodbye to Henri. Henri, again, man, we really appreciate you hanging out on the Tampa Morgue of the show.
It was awesome. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you, man.
Definitely a privilege, man. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and we'll say goodbye to you in a second, everybody else. This is from the new record that comes out September 6, 2024. It is Judas Paradox from God Dethroned. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this.
Judas, I'll carry on. Mysterious.
And that was God Dethroned with Judas Paradox. That's coming out on September 6, 2024 on Reigning Phoenix Music. And again, we want to thank Henri for joining us tonight, man. Ed, good show, right? I mean, a lot of God Dethroned history there.
Yeah. Yep. And to think, me personally, not 24 years. When you do this for a long time, I mean, obviously, I've been playing in bands since I can, the early '90s. Yeah, early '90s, man. You don't realize time has just passed so fast, especially now. It's crazy.
Well, I never realized until I had kids, and now that I have kids, man, it's just like I just feel like it's just flying way too fast. It's almost a bummer sometimes. And you told me this before I had kids. You're like, I mean, I look at your kids even, and I've seen how they've grown since the days in the studio we were recording or practicing, and Bryce and your daughter were hanging out in the studio, and now they're like adults, basically.
Yeah, man.
It goes fast, and God Dethroned's been around for a long time. And they've, always quality music, man. I've always dug their records. So it was really cool that Henri joined us tonight. And yeah, man, we're going to just wrap up. We're going to mention a few things here, and we're going to wrap up after that pretty much. Because first of all, everybody who's mailing us, we totally appreciate it, man. We get a lot of emails now. And feel free. We actually really appreciate it. It's TheTampaMorgue@gmail.com. And also send us, if you have any requests for bands you want to see on the show, send us a message, let us know. We'll see what we can do. We kind of just, we don't really have a, what would you call it, Ed? We just kind of go along with what we want to bring on the show, or, we don't really have a method or a reason. We kind of just go with bands that we dig. But if you guys have anybody that you really want to get on, send it to us so we can see what's up. Because ask Ed, there's no method to what we do.
Fly by the seat of our pants is what we do. If it's hit or miss.
It is. It's hit or miss. And I'm going to mention a couple shows coming up here because let me see here before we call it a night. We'll be back next week with Tomas from Wolfheart. That'll be I think next Thursday or what? I got to look. I think
Wednesday.
It's
Wednesday.
That's right, because Ed's getting cut up the next day.
I'm getting mutilated on Thursday.
Yeah, so let me see here. I'll pull up this information because, as usual, I am not very organized right now.
Well, I can start. Swarmfest, the 22nd of November to the 24th. Slew of bands. I'll run through some of them because I have it in front of me. Friday, November 22nd, Pessimist, Lethal Prayer, Coraldia, Sanath, man, some of these names. MRSA. Grave Rot. We had Josh Jones on here. He's the drummer. Ars Antigua, Formulus, Sadistic Vision, Tunnel of Set. That's your Friday. Saturday, Vincent Crowley, Nocturnus AD, Perdition Temple, Promethean Horde, Druid Lord, The Mighty Fucking Generic Christ, Hibernus Mortis, Vacuous Depths, Voldrium, and the Nocturbulent. Wow, I mean, seriously, some of these band names, dude.
I'm sure some of them.
I swear,
I know.
I feel like you.
The one.
I feel like you.
Last names.
Yeah, I feel like you. When you try to pronounce European names,
dude, it's rough, man. Whenever we
do
these interviews, some of these names, it's kind of hard not to mess them up. I'm like, well,
I know.
But I just kind of go with it, or I just, I figure what's
just
the worst
do the best you can.
Yeah.
But here's so Sunday, who I just spent the weekend with: Nasty Savage, Narcotic Wasteland, Interceptor, Sorcerer, Virulence, Impurity, Sadistic Force, Ejecurator. I can never say that name either. Sacrilus and Reptilian War Machine. I mean, it's a full-fledged festival. 3 days of mayhem and torture, and should be fun.
Saturday night should be great, man. We're playing the Saturday night.
Yeah, we're playing that's a great night of bands. I'm excited to play that show.
Brass Mug, Tampa, Florida. And we'll be updating. We'll have some shows related to that coming up and stuff. I've already talked to a couple guys actually about coming on that are going to play that show. Some people that we've already had on this show who are going to come hang out for a little bit and talk about the festival. Also, I'm going to mention, let me see here. It is Tampa Death Fest, September 4th, 5th, and 6th at the Brass Mug. $20 a night, $17 in advance. I'm going to name the band. I'll go through the schedule like Ed just did for the bands I can pronounce or remember. Let me see here. So on Friday, 10-4, which is September 4th, Extreme Fucking Noise is playing. Let me see here. Putrid Liquid, Chemicost, Insanity. We know those guys. Kaya, I think the band's name is. See, that's the ones I can read there. On Saturday, the 5th of September, a Borning, Vast Decline, Tunnels of Set, Burned at the Stake. We know those. We had Andy on here some time ago, Andy Howe, who also is a tattoo artist. Glutton for Punishment, Skulldozer, Sadistic Vision, Intoxicated, and Kadekis. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names. And then on Sunday, the 6th, which is Blasphemation, Scorch, Piss on Christ, Fupa Goddess, Ejecadator. We gotta get Alvar to like give us a sound clip of that band name so we can play it because they're a killer band. You know, George and Alvar and that from They Speed Reapermancer. We had him on the show months ago. Corpor. I'm not okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna. No Raza. We're gonna find out how to pronounce these bands. I'll talk to Eric Gron and find out how to pronounce all these groups, and we'll do it the right way. I got this information a little bit ago, so I wanted to mention it on the show.
They need to have the thing like in the dictionary where it has the how to pronounce the name next to the fucking thing in parentheses, because that makes our life easier, man. Come on. Work with us, dog.
And I'm blind now. Like I used to never had need glasses. Now I wear glasses when we do the show because I'm reading them close.
Brother, it has nothing to do with the glasses. I mean, these guys are creating names that don't exist. So come on. Let's be realistic here.
I'm trying, but that's Tampa Death Fest, September 4th, 5th, and 6th, the Brass Mug. I'll get some more information about that and announce it next week when I find out the rest of the bands. Like I said, $20 a night, 17 day of the show. We mentioned, next episode, we do have a guest. We're going to see how it works. We got some fan mail I need to read out or whatever, morgue mail, whatever you call it. People send us emails, and I haven't read a few of them out because we've been really – I mean, it's crazy. We'll have shows, and then, we'll have no guests booked. And then, Ed, all of a sudden we have, 4 guests or 5 guests. So that takes up, 5 weeks. And some people tell me, some people are like, hey, man, we like sometimes when it's just you guys hanging out on the show. For me, it's easy. We have a guest. It's it motivates me to get the show done, to do it the right way and stuff. But me and Ed will definitely do a solo show coming up. I mean, this one is what, 57? I want to say episode 57, season 2. We've been banging them out. And the thing is, these shows are not like this show is going to be probably about 2.5 hours at the end of the day, So they're not short shows. King Fally was 5 hours. I mean, and I tell you, that show has been downloaded so much. And I mean, I got to say, if you haven't listened to that show yet, that is a great show. I mean, it talks about everything on that show. I mean, King Fally from Deceased, October 31. I mean, it's a pretty epic interview. If you got to listen to it in 3 different spots to get it done, we totally get it.
Hell yeah.
But, it's a long one, but there's so much shit to go back and listen to. We got a lot of people that tell us they listen to our show while they're traveling or working the overnights. However you do it, we appreciate it. We got one more show before Ed, maybe 2, but 1 definite before Ed goes under the knife. And Ed said he's going to be back. We're not going to miss a week, so he may be. We may be broadcasting from a hospital bed.
No, I get released the same day. It's just a matter of if I might have to maneuver my stuff because this room's kind of tight, and I don't know if I'll be able to. Because even just now. I
can tell you're uncomfortable right now, man.
Yeah, just sitting in a chair. I mean, I've got a computer chair now. Before I was just sitting in a kitchen chair. I would just bring in here because of the size of the area. Because I have a sauna in this room, and I like my sauna, so I'm not going to move it to appease my sitting for this. So, but this has been, I'm so fucking ready to be done with this.
I could tell you get ready to pass out. My garage will cover.
I'm not tired. I'm just, it's like, when you do something like when you have a sore back and you sit for too long, because I know as soon as I stand up, it takes me a few minutes for my hip to realign from in the socket because there's nothing there. It's just bone on bone. So it takes a minute to realign, and it's just that pain until I hear that click. And when you hear that click, it's like, it's hard to explain. Just like, when your knuckles out of on your hand and when it pops and then you're like, oh,
Dude, that used to always happen to me when I was a kid. That doesn't really happen anymore. I'll tell you what.
but your knuckles,
My
yeah,
like pinky would always lock up as
yeah,
a kid. I didn't know what the hell it
yep,
was.
or even your knee. When you get
Yeah.
older and you stand up and you feel that pop of your knee and you're like, ooh, it's 100 times worse than that because there's, it's just a pain that I've been living with, man. You know it.
And you just played a show too, man. You've been traveling. And
Yeah, I'm
shit
sore,
like that.
dude. I got to be honest with you. Doing an hour and
flying around and like you guys kind of
walking through the airports. It was a brutal. Plus,
you messaged me the other night, dude. It was like I was like, "What are you doing awake still?" I don't know.
We
Ed
didn't
to
get
be
back
up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know
we
Ed
didn't
Webb
get-
that's up
yeah.
at 3 a.m. But this
we didn't
Ed
get
was
back
up at 3
to
a.m.
we didn't get back till almost 2, and I was, I didn't eat. Like they gave us burgers and stuff, and I knew if I ate that burger, I was going to have rock gut. Which everybody who ate it fucking was like, "Oh man, I wish I would have waited." And I'm like, that's why I put it in my bag, and we had a microwave in our room, and I just heated it up and ate it later because I knew better.
You made a good choice, man.
Yeah, man, I knew better.
I know I got to go too. My wife has our garage full of mannequins right now. She's getting ready for Halloween, and we went and picked up like 5 mannequins from Vilnius, which is like an hour and a half away. We're driving around with our kids, and we just have like mannequin limbs everywhere. It's crazy. But she's making some killer shit, man. She made you saw the Krampus thing.
Yeah, it looks killer.
Which was awesome. They're like gigantic mannequins too, because they're like Lithuanian. So Lithuanian people are a lot taller. So like all the mannequins are tall. So it's we're gonna have a pretty killer Halloween thing going on. So we're getting ready. So yeah. So Ed, I'm gonna let you get away from the chair for a little before you have to go edit. And, again, we appreciate everybody who listens to the Tampa Morgue. You can find us pretty much everywhere. I'll save Ed the spiel today. Anywhere you stream podcasts, pretty much.
Yep, or YouTube if that's your bag. We put it on YouTube.
Yep, just no video, but we do put the audio up there. Spotify, of course.
Apple.
Drop us, Apple, all that stuff. But definitely send us a message if you want to. Give us some requests. We definitely appreciate the feedback.
Yep, TheTampaMorgue at gmail.com.
That's right. And we thank
or Instagram. You can hit us up there too.
Instagrams are active. I update the Facebook page.
You're always on that bitch.
But the Facebook has no traction.
I just really. On Facebook.
Yeah, it sucks. But we thank Henri from God Dethroned for hanging out with us tonight. And we thank all our listeners. Like I said, you can go back and listen to all the old shows. They're there. There's a shitload of them. A lot of hours worth of material. Again, we appreciate you. We'll be back next week on Wednesday, Ed says. So that'll be
28th.
28th. Yeah. So everybody, we appreciate it. See you next week. Thanks for listening to the Tampa Morgue. Anything else, Ed?
No, sir.
Till next time, guys. Peace.
See ya.